My boss laughed at my father's old clothes on my graduation day and called him a beggar in front of all my friends. That moment is still the most painful memory of my life. My father had worked so hard for years just to send me to college. On the day of my graduation ceremony, he wore his only decent shirt, an old faded one that was patched in several places. When he walked into the hall, some of my classmates started whispering and laughing. My boss, who had come as a guest, looked at my father and said loudly, "Look at this guy. He's dressed like a beggar. How can someone like him even be here?" My father heard everything. He quietly pulled his old cap lower over his eyes, lowered his head, and moved to the back row so that I wouldn't feel embarrassed. I saw the pain in his eyes from across the hall. When the ceremony ended and we reached home, he didn't say a single word about what happened. He just sat quietly on the couch. That night, I gave him the smart health watch I had saved up for months to buy, so I could keep an eye on his heart rate and health. He looked at it for a long time, smiled weakly, and said nothing. But I couldn't forget the humiliation on his face. From that day on, I worked day and night with one goal in my mind. I would build something so big that no one would ever dare to disrespect my father again. This is my true story of how my boss laughed at my father's old clothes on my graduation day, and how years later that same man ended up begging for my scraps. The days after my graduation were filled with quiet pain. My father never complained about what happened that day, but I could see the hurt in his eyes every time he looked at his old clothes. He would wear the another smart health watch I gave him and check his heart rate silently, as if trying to convince himself that everything was okay. Started working extremely hard after that. I took multiple jobs, learned business skills, and saved every single penny. My only motivation was to build something so successful that my father would never have to feel small again. Over the next 10 years, I created a premium clothing brand that became hugely popular. The brand focused on high quality, stylish clothes for working-class people at affordable prices. It grew faster than I had imagined. Meanwhile, my old boss and his friends continued their arrogant lifestyle. They often mocked people who didn't dress expensively. I never told my father what I was planning. He kept wearing his old clothes with dignity, and every time I saw him, the memory of that graduation day came rushing back. Right now, you must be wondering, what exactly did I do with my success? Did I confront my boss directly, or did I do something much bigger? Keep watching, because what happened next completely changed the power dynamic. If you've ever seen your parents humiliated because of their simple clothes or financial situation and felt helpless, you know exactly how heavy those years felt for me. If this story is touching you, drop your own experience in the comments below. I read every single comment and it really means a lot to me. 10 years after that painful graduation day, my clothing brand had become one of the most successful in the region. We had stores in multiple cities and a strong online presence. One day I learned that my old boss's company was struggling financially and looking for investors. I quietly bought a majority stake in his company through my brand. When the deal was finalized, I called for a special meeting with all senior staff. My old boss was also present. When I walked into the conference room, he didn't recognize me at first. I stood in front of everyone and said calmly, "Do you remember the graduation ceremony? 10 years ago when you laughed at a father wearing old clothes and called him a beggar?" His face turned pale. The entire room went silent. I told them that the father he had humiliated that day was my father. Then I announced that from today, the company would follow new values of respect and dignity for every employee. As the new majority owner, the first change I made was to demote my old boss to a junior position. The suspense in the room was thick as he realized the power had completely shifted. He started apologizing and begging for mercy in front of everyone. I didn't raise my voice. I simply told him that true success is measured by how we treat people, not by the clothes they wear. My father still didn't know the full story. He was at home, wearing the smart health watch and listening to music peacefully. The real emotional moment was still coming. My old boss was demoted and had to work under the new company. Values that emphasized respect for every employee. Many of his old friends who had laughed at my father that day now reported to people from humble backgrounds. The brand I built became even more successful because customers loved the message of dignity and inclusion. One day my father visited the main office. When he walked in wearing a beautiful new suit I had gifted him, several employees recognized him and greeted him with genuine respect. My old boss was also there. When he saw my father, his face filled with shame. He lowered his head and quietly said, "I am sorry for what I did that day." My father looked at him for a long moment, then gently replied, "It's okay. Just treat everyone with respect from now on. That moment brought tears to my eyes. Today, my father wears the finest suits with confidence and peace. He checks his health regularly on the Smart Health Watch I gave him years ago. This whole experience taught me one of the most important lessons of my life. Never stay silent when someone disrespects your parents. Dignity is priceless, and true success comes when we lift others up instead of putting them down. If you've ever seen your father or mother being humiliated because of their clothes or financial situation and felt helpless, know that you are not alone. Justice has its own timing. Drop your own story in the comments below, whether it's about your parents or any loved one who was disrespected. I read every single comment and it truly touches my heart. If this story moved you or gave you strength, please like it, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Michael Revenge Stories for more real emotional revenge tales. Thank you for watching till the end. This is Michael signing off. Take care and always protect your family's dignity.